In this lesson, we'll apply some formulas to our repeating shelf. Alright, so let's apply some formulas to our shelf so that it's hidden and it repeats as necessary, according to what's going on with our height. So I'm just going to double click in here and click on our shelf here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to expose its component attributes. So what I'm going to do here is kind of go over how I found some of these formulas. One, you can learn more about dynamic components if you go to blogs, if you play around with existing dynamic components, and also if you use your help option here. So go to help, go to knowledge center, and if you type in dynamic, anything you want really, in our case dynamic formulas, it's going to take you to a list of all kinds of resources we have. And it's going to help you figure out functions and things like that, and formulas, and it's going to give you examples that you can kind of dissect and play with. So, with that being said, keep that in mind as we're plugging in some of these really complex formulas. So the first thing I want to plug in is this copies formula. So with this one, I have a function that's actually going to be called floor, and what that does, it basically SketchUp rounds down to the nearest multiple going down, so hence the word floor. Had I used the function ceiling, it would have rounded up. So we're going to type in floor, and we're going to close parentheses, and we want to do bookshelf, because we're referencing the bookshelf, the cabinet height. And then what I want to do is I want to divide all that by 18, close parentheses, minus 1. So it should read floor, parentheses, bookshelf, cabinet height, divided by 18, minus 1. Go ahead and hit enter. And when you hit f of x, you should be able to see your formula in there. Now we're going to do the same thing for our hidden, because we want it to be exposed after a certain height. So I'm going to say equals bookshelf cabinet height, whenever my cabinet height is less than 20. So it should say equals bookshelf cabinet height less than 20. Hit tab and you should still be able to see that formula. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to play around with these areas. So up here, I know that 0.75 is going to be my material thickness. So I'm going to say equals bookshelf, exclamation mark, material thickness. Hit tab and we should still see that. So I'm going to kind of click over here, and what we should do is watch what's going on here. And we can tell if we're doing everything right by the warning signs and the behavior here. So we have most of our formulas in place, but in order for this to copy correctly, we have to add in a Z positioning formula. And this is where it can get a little complex. But if you follow the formula exactly how I'm putting it in here, you'll be in good shape. And again, this is a formula I got from doing lots of research through looking at existing components built by SketchUp. So just follow this exactly and you'll be able to get it in. So we'll say 3 parentheses. I'm going to say copy plus 1, close parentheses, divided by, parentheses, copies, which is this area here, plus 2, close parentheses, and we've got to make sure we put our equal here, otherwise it won't stick. So we want 2 parentheses at the end of copies, and I want to multiply that times 2. So times bookshelf. Exclamation mark, cabinet height. You can see how complex this is, but the more you do this and the more you dissect existing, or the more resources you have like blogs and other external resources and books and things, the more this stuff kind of comes in handy. And we're going to take all that we just typed in minus our bookshelf material thickness divided by 2. So I'll kind of read this back to you. So we have 3 parentheses, lowercase copy plus 1, divided by parentheses, copies plus 2, close with 2 parentheses, times your bookshelf cabinet height, close parentheses, minus the bookshelf material thickness, divided by 2. Hit enter. That formula should stick. And when we do that, we should have this nice repeating element here, just like that. So again, you get this kind of information from doing research, from dissecting things. And once you kind of get comfortable with it, you can kind of take some of these formulas and you can even reference them and maybe save some of these formulas somewhere else and then kind of build other components based on some of these formulas. So now we're going to play around with sizing really quick before we kind of finish out. So for my sizing in the X direction, let's see, we know that in the X direction, basically for that shelf, we wanted it to be our cabinet width minus 2 times the material. So I'm going to say equals, reference your bookshelf, cabinet width minus, parentheses, 2 times bookshelf material thickness. And again, very similar to what we did with the sides there. It's all about 2 times that material thickness. Hit tab, that should stick, we're in good shape. And then for our green, we know the green is depth, so I'm going to say bookshelf or equals. Make sure you put in that equals, bookshelf, exclamation mark, cabinet, depth. Hit tab, and then last but not least, for my Z here, I want this to be my material thickness. So I'm going to say equals bookshelf material thickness. Hit tab, and we should be in good shape. So now I can close out all my functions. I have no warning signs, nothing like that. We're in good shape. We can actually control all the stuff going on with this. Close out of this really quick. So now, last but not least, I want to go ahead and come up to my area up here. Occasionally you get these warning messages here. So just basically just click out of here and we'll click back on here. Now what I want to do is I want to come up to our bookshelf itself and I want to apply a material. So in our next lesson, we'll go ahead and do the material. I'll show you how we can get some color options. And then we'll take what we just created and we'll apply it to our little modular home over there and solve our design problem. So I'll meet you in the next lesson where we'll work with some material attributes.